Awesome. It looks like we're now live. Welcome back, everyone. Maggie O here with Homeschool with Maggie O, your homeschool mentor. I know it's been a little bit since I posted the first one. Remember, we're starting this new series about what's the perfect curriculum, what's the best curriculum. And I apologize for my delay in getting back on. I've had laryngitis all week and I just got my voice back. And so I'm hoping that I don't start coughing while we're doing this live. But last time we talked about three of the most well known homeschool philosophies. We talked about the traditional classical and Charlotte Mason styles of philosophies. And if you missed that live, don't worry. You can always catch it on the replay. Just go down a little bit and you'll find it. But today we're going to explore four more approaches, excuse me, that are incredibly popular, but they're often misunderstood. We're going to talk about the unit studies, the eclectic homeschooling type philosophy, Montessori inspired learning, and unschooling. Remember that our goal isn't to determine which philosophy is best. That's not what we're doing here. Our goal is to discover which one fits your child and your teaching style and your family's lifestyle, because it's really an important component when we ask the question, what's the perfect curriculum? What's the best curriculum? So let's jump into this today. And then I want you to comment below if you've ever heard of any of these four that I just mentioned. So the first philosophy that I talked about was unit studies. One of the easiest ways to describe a unit study is this. Instead of teaching every subject separately, everything revolves around one central topic. So, for example, if your family is studying the ocean, for science you would explore marine life, let's say that, for example. And for geography, you're going to be looking at the oceans perhaps around the world. For your history studies, you could talk about famous explorers. For reading, include ocean themed books. Writing assignments focus on sea animals or ocean conservation. And art projects might involve watercolor sea scenes, something like that. Everything connects together is the gist of a unit study. So children often retain information better because they're seeing the relationships between the subjects rather than learning them in isolated facts. And this approach is great for elementary kiddos, families teaching with multiple ages together, um, hands on learners, and families who enjoy projects and field trips. The challenges are that planning can take a little bit more time unless you're using a prepared unit study curriculum, like everything comes in a book for you, and you open the teacher's manual opens up and it'll tell you almost verbatim what you're going to be doing. You don't have to do it that way. You can create, like I just suggested, the unit study yourself, but it does require a little bit more planning. And my question for you is, if your family could spend an entire month studying one topic together, what would that be? What would y'all like to do? The second philosophy is eclectic homeschooling. This is probably the most common homeschooling style today, to be honest. Eclectic homeschooling, you're simply grabbing pieces and locking them together into one philosophy. So you might use one math curriculum, another company's language arts. You're not like sold out, on one particular company, like in a whole Abeka series. You're using multiple difference. Maybe for math, you're using Saxon, and for another company's language arts, you use Shirley Grammar or Shirley English. Living books for history, hands-on science, or you could be using an apologia science spine, and online courses for electives. That's what eclectic would perhaps look like as an example. And you're creating a custom education for your child. The benefit is the flexibility. If something isn't working, you simply replace it. And I personally, I migrated this way myself. And if you've been around me long enough, you've heard me say this before. And for those of you who are just joining me and starting to follow me, Do not be loyal to any one curriculum. If something is not working, change it. Don't hesitate. You don't have to remain loyal. And it's okay just to pick up from where you are and move on. That's totally fine. So you're not afraid to mix and match when you're doing an eclectic type philosophy. Does that fit you? It's great for experienced homeschool families, children with unique learning needs. This is awesome for them. And families who enjoy customizing your education. Challenges: without a plan, it's easy to buy too much curriculum and it can become overwhelming. So you really do need to be strategic. I every March, I always had all of my plans written down, what was working, what wasn't working, where were gaps that I discovered in our homeschooling? Where did I feel like we needed a little bit more extra help? I had all of this documented for myself. And in March, I would typically pick my curriculums based off of that type of information. And I would have it all in stock. And then that way over the summer, I could, spend time trying to get ready for the new fall if I wasn't doing year round education. One of the biggest mistakes I see in purchasing curriculum is purchasing curriculum, too much curriculum perhaps, because someone else loved it. That's a big mistake that somebody told you, so it must work for me, and that's a big mistake too. Not only purchasing too much because you're going off of what other people are telling you instead of kind of doing these studies for yourself and what fits for your family, but then also taking other people's recommendations without putting it through the filter of what we're talking about right now. And it may not be what's perfect for your own child or your own family and your philosophy. So just be aware of those. Purchasing too much and just going off what somebody else said, because what is perfect for somebody else or me may not be perfect for you. And that's really important when you're zoning in on your curriculum and asking that question: what's the perfect curriculum? The perfect curriculum is the one that works for your family. How many of you have ever bought curriculum because someone recommended it, only to discover that it wasn't the right fit? You're definitely not alone. We've all done that as homeschoolers, I guarantee you. The next philosophy that I mentioned earlier was the Montessori inspired homeschooling. Many people associate Montessori only with preschool, but its principles can influence homeschooling at many ages. And it focuses typically on the independence, hands-on learning, real life skills, allowing children to explore at their own pace. So instead of the teacher constantly directing every activity, the environment encourages the child to discover and learn independently. You'll often see practical life activities included alongside academics. And this is typically best for your independent learners, um, younger children, families who enjoy hands on materials, and parents who value child led exploration. The challenges are creating the learning environment can sometimes take preparation and organization. Just like I've mentioned some before, you're going to have to do a little bit more planning. And my question is, do your children learn better when they're allowed to discover things for themselves? This is not uncommon. It actually, most kids do when they're younger, especially, and that can grow on, as they become older. I just want to double check. It seems like live is still working well. Philosophy number 4 that I mentioned was unschooling. And I've been asked this before: what does that exactly mean? And it means different things to different people. This one probably, and it can create the most debate. Many people think unschooling means doing nothing. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. And again, when I mention any of these philosophies, I am putting it through a filter of no judgment. I'm not telling you you need to do it this way and this way only, because as homeschoolers, we're unique. I'm just simply trying to kind of lay out the foundation for you so you can kind of process and reflect and see which one sounds good to you and your kids, and you could see your children thriving in that kind of environment. True unschooling is built around the child's interests. Parents still provide opportunities: books, experiences, conversations, mentors, travel, museums, and resources. The learning simply just happens a little differently. So if a child becomes fascinated with airplanes, for example, that interest can naturally lead into physics, into history, geography, math, writing, engineering, and even career exploration. Learning follows curiosity, and it's great for high self motivated learners, families who value flexibility, and children with intense interests. And it can be a lot of fun. Challenges: parents must intentionally provide rich learning opportunities and understand your state's homeschool requirements. It's really important. And unschooling is not the absence of education; it's just different philosophy of education. So, wrapping all of this together, as we've looked at these four philosophies today and the three that I mentioned last time, I hope that you're noticing something. None of them are perfect. Every philosophy has strengths, every philosophy has challenges, and the goal isn't to find the perfect curriculum. The goal is finding the approach that helps your child love learning while helping them enjoy the homeschool environment. Isn't that what we all want? I think so. Sometimes families even change philosophies over time. That's not uncommon either. And that's perfectly okay because remember, I said you're not loyal to anything. You're as your homeschool evolves, your kids are growing up, they're changing, you're changing. You're becoming more confident in homeschooling yourself. And so, of course, our philosophies can change with that. And as your children grow, your homeschool can grow right along with them. That's the beauty of homeschooling. So I'd love to hear from you. Which philosophy sounds most like your family right now? Is it the unit studies? Is it more of an eclectic style? Is it Montessori inspired? Unschooling? Is it traditional? Is it classical that we talked about last time? Leave your answer in the comments. And if you're not sure yet, that's okay too. That's exactly why we're having this discussion in this series. I wanted to put this series together. I've been wanting to do it for so long because it's just so important. And in any of our homeschool groups, we are hearing these questions resonate over and over and over. People keep asking, what's the perfect curriculum? What's the best curriculum? And I think you're going to, hopefully, over listening to all of this, you're going to start to see why that is such a loaded question, like I mentioned last time. So, next time, we're going to shift gears. We talked about philosophies and covered a little bit about that. And then we're going to start talking about something that's just as impactful on choosing your curriculum, and that is learning styles. That's where things really start to click because two children can use the exact same curriculum and have completely different experiences with it simply because they learn differently. So I'm excited to dive into that with you next time. So stay tuned, and we're going to keep going through this series to answer the question that inquiring homeschooling minds want to know. What's the best curriculum? I look forward to seeing you next time, and have a good homeschool week. Happy homeschooling.